What's up guys, welcome to another Tutorial Tuesday. Today's episode, we're going to be talking about how to create a sun star or a sunburst or a starburst, but not the kind of starburst that you eat. I'm going to use the drift method. Freaking incredible. Round F16 for that to get that sunburst. Alright, so I have a problem living in southwest New Mexico, and it's a problem that most people don't think is a problem, but for me, as a photographer, it's a problem. And that is, I've got too much sunshine. And from a photography standpoint, too much sunshine can kind of be a bad thing. A lot of times, I want to go out and shoot, or I'm hiking, or I'm exploring some area, or I'm at some really cool place, but the sun is just there and there's no clouds, there's nothing interesting going on, even if the place is really cool, and it's really hard to shoot in just bright daylight with nothing going on. But one of the ways that we can easily remedy that or add some creativity to our shots, even if it's kind of a bland, from a photography standpoint, sort of day, is we can do a sunburst. So I came out here to this hiking trail that's near my house, and I'm gonna go see if I can find something to shoot and accentuate with a sunburst. So let's go. See, this is what I'm talking about. There is not one cloud anywhere in my sky. And living in southwest New Mexico, unfortunately, that's usually pretty standard. We get over 300 days of sunshine a year here. And to most people, tourists, normal people, whatever, that's generally considered quite nice. But for photographers, no bueno. So our challenge is gonna be, how do I shoot this? I want to shoot, but how do I shoot it? Like, what do I tell? What do I show? And I don't have anybody in here. Lady behind the camera's not here today. Tristan's not here today. So it's just me. And I've got to find something to shoot out here. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go look for a cactus, as they're spiky and interesting. So I'm gonna go find a cactus, and I'm gonna put the sun right behind it. And I'm gonna show you guys what settings and show you how to get that sunburst. Alright, so I found my location. I found this nice cactus here, this cholla. You can see it kind of in the side of the frame. So let's talk real quick about what is a starburst or sunburst and how do you create it and what's going on. So basically, a starburst, a sunburst, can be created from any type of light source. Right now we're using the sun. You can also use the moon and it'll look something like this. Or you could use, you could do long exposures at nighttime when you got street lamps or something else around like that, and it'll look like this. And you can see the starburst coming out of the lamp posts and the lights around town. So there's lots of different ways to make the sunburst. But right now we're gonna focus on middle of the day. Well, it's kind of sunset, but there is no sunset today. So that's another reason. I wouldn't be out here shooting normally because there's no sunset. But if you wanna get creative, then let's get the sun star. Okay, so it's super simple. The thing that controls the sun star in your camera is gonna be your aperture. So the more you stop an aperture down, and by stop it down, I mean a bigger aperture number, smaller aperture hole. So when you go towards f16, you're getting a smaller aperture. So what that's doing is the blades are closing. And what determines the sunburst, at least what determines how it's going to look, is the number of blades. If you have an even number of blades, you're gonna get a sunburst that looks like, or starburst, whatever, that's gonna look like this. If you have a lens that has an odd number of blades, like the one I'm using now, this one here, this is the Canon 16-35 f4, and it has 9 blades. So if you have anything that's going to give you an odd number of blades, you're going to get twice the amount of actual bursty things, the bursty parts here. That's a technical term, I'm pretty sure. So my 16-35 has 9, and it's going to give me 18, should give me 18 starbursty things. And so that's what we're going to look for. But it doesn't really matter, it's just comes down to aesthetic taste. Personally, I think the 16-35 has the best sunburst or sun starring effect that I've ever seen from pretty much any lens that I've had, and I've had a lot, so this is my favorite. All right, so let's take a couple shots. I'm gonna show you what it looks like regularly. So for this one, I'm gonna be at f4, 800th of a second, and 200 ISO. So you see what that looks like. So you can see it's just a big blob. It's just a big overexposed blob. And aesthetically, to me, that's not really appealing. So let's stop it down. The more you stop it down towards f16, the more of a sunburst you're gonna get. You're gonna start seeing it when you hit around f11 to f13. And it's gonna be, in my opinion, it's gonna be kind of the peak around f16. You can shoot it more than that if you need to, f22, whatever, but it's gonna look about the same. And I try not to shoot at f22 because you get diffraction and it degrades the image quality, and that's a whole nother tutorial. But so I want to aim for f16, and right now I have the ability to do that because of the light. So I'm going to go to f16, and then I really have to change my shutter speed. So I'm going to drop my shutter speed, and then I'm going to up my ISO a little bit. So I up my ISO to 800, drop my shutter to 2/50th of a second. All right, so there it is. That's the shot. That's much better to me. You can, as I showed you before in the other ones, in the other examples, you can do this at nighttime with long exposures. You can do this with any other light source at any time. You just have to be mindful of your settings to get the proper exposure that you want. And it doesn't matter what lens you have. So if you're unsure how to do this and you don't want to go straight to manual, you can go to aperture priority mode and just tell it to choose f16, and it'll do the rest for you. The point here is, get your aperture as close to as a big of number, small of an aperture as possible. I really like f16. That's going to give you these beautiful sunbursts. All right, so that's it. That was a super simple tutorial. It's a super simple technique, but it adds a lot of creative value to being out in bland conditions like this and being able to stretch photographically and creatively to get something a little more appealing than just an overexposed blob. So if you like this stuff and you want to see more like this, make sure you subscribe to my channel. I've got new tutorials every Tuesday, new other videos every Friday. And if you have any other questions about what's going on in the camera, what the settings are, anything like that I didn't cover, make sure you leave those in the comments below and I'll definitely answer them. Make sure you subscribe, hit that like button, and I'll see you in the next video.